are doctors generally happy? I mean, is this a career you end up flourishing in, or is it a rough go for most of them?
I think they flourish, but I also think too that I've seen quite a few, and a lot of the physicians that I work with, and in all the companies I'm doing right now, we have a bunch of physician investors. They're seeming to do something where they're balancing a little bit of business along with their clinical practices, where they are starting clinics or they are starting office-based labs, what they call OBLs,
Okay.
so that in addition to the clinical practice, they have, other sources of income. And I think it's smart folks. You're not going to get
Yes.
what they are. So they've learned that there are business avenues that they can marry with the clinical performance,
Mm.
and maybe have a little bit better quality of life, and maybe even eventually get out of medicine
And
full time earlier because you've
yeah.
got these other business interests. So they do a lot of time serving as consultants for companies like the ones that I have. They do start their own side businesses. Some of them even leave because they do a startup and it gets funded, and they go, "Hey, I'm going to go be chief medical officer of this new company as opposed
Mhm.
to practicing medicine." So I think I see more of that. They're just exposed. You see Shark Tank and you see all these things, and
Yeah.
every single doctor that I know will tell me he's got a good idea that improves on something they're doing now. And it's, believe me, I keep threatening to teach a seminar on telling doctors if they pay me money to listen to the seminar, I guarantee I can save them money by not wasting their time filing a bunch of patents and doing things which then turns into nothing. But tempted to do it. I think eventually one of these days I'll have time and I'll do it.
How d this just kinda gives me the greatest, like, a visual. Um, you've been doing this so long. It's gotta be rough when you're 7 minutes into a doctor's presentation to you, right? And you just already know, like, I just have to cut you off because this is going nowhere, or you don't have much chance. There's no hope.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can be pretty upfront with them, and but the calls come at all stages. So a call will come from the guy who said, "Hey, I'm thinking about filing a patent on an idea," to the guy who's already filed 10 or 12 patents and hired a company to make prototypes that's already spent $500,000 of their
Yes.
own money. And even the calls where this thing with these provisional patent applications, clinicians a lot of times don't understand it's an application with a 1-year deadline. That I'll get calls on day 360 because a physician just learned, "Hey, I have 5 days to decide if I'm going to file a full patent application," which is now $15 or $20,000. A year ago, I spent $1,500 to file a
Okay.
provisional application. I didn't realize that I had a year. So I get those desperation calls. What should I do? And I said, let it go. I mean, you're not going to spend $20,000 to file a patent application. It's maybe this provisional path is just too easy and too inexpensive. So many provisional applications get filed that shouldn't have been filed,
Yes.
but it's just doctors, they go to a cocktail party, they tell somebody they have an idea. Inevitably, somebody's going to know a patent attorney. Going to talk to the patent attorney, is going to go, let me file a provisional for you to protect that.
Yeah, it's a great idea. You gotta protect it.
Absolutely. 99.9% of the time, they'll file a patent
Yeah.
provisional application. And then 90% of the time, that'll end up going nowhere
Yep.
because they don't realize the burden that comes with that down the road.
That is but that's still tough. I mean, you are at some point, you are really telling people the hard truth. Probably rough. Like you said, 90% of your job is to say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they'll, and a lot of it you'll hear, well, I've never heard of this before, or I've never seen. There still could be issued patents, that people didn't ever get to market. So you have to look at that. But also, where are you going to raise the money from? Can you make this at a cost that is bared by private insurance and
Okay.
Medicare? And what are the market dynamics? So there's so much that goes into that. I mean, there are a lot of good ideas that just don't have a market, or do have IP issues. You're going to infringe patents, or you can't get protection.
Hmm.
So much more goes into it than hey, I think it's clever and I've never seen it before.
How about the
And
one that got away?
I don't think I have any of those.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody that's come to me. I have
That's
a file of
that's come
just
back
start
and
seeing
gone,
that.
nana, nana,
Yeah,
nana, nana, nana.
no, I
You
don't have
missed
any of
it,
it.
Bill.
I think I looked at over 200 ideas before I selected single pass.
Damn.
Yeah, you should see my folder of what was presented. But then I saw this and I said, yeah, this is a good one.
For the same solution, trying to solve the same problem.
No,
Okay,
different.
just 200 other
200
solving,
idea all over the
200
board.
other.
Yep.
Fascinating. I mean, you must meet some amazingly fascinating people
Oh
in
yeah.
those
Yeah.
200.
Yeah. I mean, this industry, it's nice. I mean, you meet a lot of super smart people. I mean,
Yeah.
there's people like me times 1,000 where they've been dramatically more successful and started and sold several companies. So yeah, there's a lot of great people in this industry.
And it's just it's an admirable place to spend time and to invest your life's work, because you're really impact. I mean, the device, I mean, the single pass, that's immediately impactful to people.
Yes. Yeah. We start to forget that it's like plumbing, you're building something or carpentry, you're building something. And I think one of the biggest impacts that was made on me, maybe it was 10 years ago, I was working on a new device and it was an implant device for aneurysms. And I was in Germany doing the procedures and the doctor told me the gentleman receiving this implant later today, he's an engineer and he wanted to meet the inventor of this device. He asked if he could meet you. And I had never met a patient before. I mean, usually
Oh, really?
I can't go into the room until they're already under anesthesia or they're whatever. But this gentleman, wanted to meet the person who invented this device. So he spoke German, so there was a translator, but he just wanted to meet me and tell me he appreciated what he did and whatever. So I went and met him in his room, and then an hour later we were in the OR and fixing him. So that had an impact on that was a little more emotional.
One engineer to another.
Yeah. Well, or just, I mean, I don't get to chat with the patients,
Yeah.
I go in and they're covered and I just, see the area that I'm dealing with and looking up at the screen and, the procedure's over and I leave and, I don't see them afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they asked me if I was okay with that. And I said, yeah, I am. But that was special. And the fact that that was probably in 2011 or 2012. And I still remember that.
And interesting because you're in Germany, everything's a little strange, right? It's all happening, and then next thing you know, you're talking to some German guy who you're about to do the procedure on.
Yeah, I felt a little more pressure, like, oh boy, this
Holy.
But it went okay. It went great.
Thanks for fixing me, and then things go sideways.
Yeah,
oh, that would have been.
It was good. It was a good outcome, so I was happy.
That is interesting.